Hey there, BookTube. It's Bobby, aka Paginator, and I'm here today with my August 2021 reading wrap-up, and we might sneak in a little Funko unboxing in the middle somewhere. So during the month of August, I have 20 books to report, and we're just going to jump right in. I think we'll go like 10 books, then do the little Funko unboxing, and then back to the last 10 books. I'm going to go in the order that I read these books instead of starting with my official TBR, but it's okay, it doesn't matter. Starting with an audiobook, I listened to Enola Holmes number 2 in that series. It is the continuation of a series, a Victorian mystery with Sherlock Holmes' younger sister, Enola, as the star/detective. I don't really want to talk too much about the second book because it might spoil some things if you want to start the series. There's a really cute movie adaptation on Netflix that I would highly recommend. And the second book is, let's see, what can I tell you without spoiling things? Enola is growing in her detective skills, solving another mystery, and becoming more independent apart from the shadow of her famous brother detective. And next we have this book here, Cinderella's Dress by Shauna Slayton. This is part of a fairy tale retelling series called Fairy Tale Inheritance. I found this series at an independent bookstore when I was in Utah one of the times this summer and picked up the whole series on an impulse, so this is the first one. And I did really enjoy it. It was kind of not what I expected it to be. So it takes place in 1944, and we're in New York City. Kate, our main character, really wants to do her part for the war effort, and so she decides to get a job to help support her family, and she really wants to work for the window dressers at the department store where her mom works. Her mom wants her to be a model and is a really pushy stage mom, but Kate is determined to use her artistic abilities to become a window dresser. And some long-lost relatives arrive from Poland, and they have brought with them some family heirlooms. They have Cinderella's original dress, as well as a couple of other items from her, and their family's kind of been charged with taking care of these items. And if Kate is worthy enough, she will be able to see the dress and be next in line to protect it. Up next we have Crush by Tracy Wolff. This is the second book in the Crave series. This is a paranormal, dark academia / romance book with lots of twists and turns. You can see it's quite a large book. I did listen to this on audio because I was on a real diamond painting kick at the beginning of the month, so I listened to it, but it was very, very well done. I really want to take this to the middle school for my students, but there's a lot of cussing and stuff in here, and it's enough that I don't know that I feel good about passing it on to them. Maybe I'll see if there's a review on it on Common Sense Media and see if there's an age recommendation there, because I trust that website to do pretty decent recommendations. Anyway, it's a really great story if you're interested in paranormal or dark academia at all. I would recommend picking this up. There is going to be a fourth book out soon, and I'll talk about the third book here in a minute. Plot-wise, I can't really tell you a whole lot without completely spoiling the first book, but I will tell you that our main character, who's a young girl who's been moved to a boarding school for paranormal creatures, discovers that she's not just a regular human like she thought she was. And that's all I better tell you. I know this is a big book and there's lots of chaos and craziness. In this school we have vampires, we have wolves, we have dragons, we have, what else? I think I can't remember all the creatures that are there, but there's a lot of them. And I can't tell you more than that. Sorry. Up next we have Cool for the Summer by Dahlia Adler. This is an LGBTQ plus romance. It is a bisexual girl who is finally getting attention from the boy that she's always crushed on as the new school year starts, but then lo and behold, the girl that she had a summer fling with shows up to her school. And she was she doesn't live there, so this is a move-in for her or something. So our main character has a choice to make between the two love interests, because as any teenager will tell you, trying to date two people at once is a lot of work, and it's not going to end well. So this was a fun read, cute little contemporary. You can see it's quite small, but a good bisexual representation. Up next we have Namesake by Adrienne Young. This is the sequel to Fable. It is a pirate tale with lots of themes of women empowerment. Fable is the daughter of the pirate king of the area, and in the first book we see her being kind of abandoned by her father and just left to survive for herself in this kind of crappy seaside town, and she's able to join the crew of a ship. And in the sequel, both Fable and the entire crew get into some deep doo-doo and trouble, and there's some kind of magical elements at work here, as well as more piratey adventure and intrigue and plots and action, and it's just very good. Up next is Calling All Witches. This is a book that's inspired by characters from Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts. These are about the women and girls who left their mark on the wizarding world. On the cover you can see we have McGonagall, she's over here, Hermione, and then not Queenie Goldstein, her sister, Tina. This book has basically profiles of different witches, and here's Madame Maxime. There's lots of art and illustrations. Madame Pomfrey, Molly Weasley, my favorite witchy mom in the series. Oh, here's Tina's page. There's just pages for lots of them. Like Hermione, McGonagall, and some of those that are more prominent have a couple of pages of information. Others have less. We even have some information about Lavender Brown, aka Ron's stalker. Well, she didn't really stalk him, but she was way too obsessed with him. Ugh, that girl. Anyway, lots of fun, amazing female characters from the wizarding world in this book, and it was just kind of a joy to sit down and read about them. Up next we have another audiobook, Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. He narrates it. I talked about this a little bit in my recent diamond painting chat, so you may be hearing this again, but Green Lights is kind of a memoir, even though he says it's not a memoir, and it's true stories from his life, and listening to him tell the stories is fun because you get his Texas accent and stuff, and you learn a lot about him as a person, and he's very cool, just a cool chill guy who seems to still be a reasonable person despite being famous. Up next we have Ink and Bone by Rachel Kane. I got about 150 pages in and DNF'd it. It just wasn't for me. I really enjoyed the premise of it, which was, imagine if the Great Library at Alexandria hadn't burned down and books were sacred and stuff. So I love the idea of it, but I just wasn't into it. I wasn't connecting with the characters. I was really struggling. So I think I'm going to unhaul this one. Maybe one of my students will love it and just really adore it. So maybe I'll just take it to school tomorrow and give it away. So yeah, school has started, and we've only had 2 days as of when I'm filming this, but it's gone really well so far. Yeah. Next up we have Covet, which is the third book in the Crave series. Again, paranormal, dark academia, and we have more paranormal characters and creatures getting into stressful situations. What can I tell you about this one? There's kind of a love triangle. Our main character has to choose between two vampire brothers. We have Jackson and Hudson. I am Team Hudson, just so you know. And it's so hard to talk about this series because there's so much involved, and I don't want to spoil anything for you. So what I would suggest is this. If you're interested in paranormal or dark academia with a bit of romance thrown in and lots of action and plot twists and funny creatures and strange creatures and all kinds of creatures, look it up on Goodreads or your favorite book review site and see if you can learn some more. and see if it looks interesting to you. The fourth book's cover decoration is going to be gold, and I'm very excited about it. I have pre-ordered it from Book Depository, and I'm very excited. Next is Persuasion by Jane Austen. This book is my favorite book of all time. I've read it many times, and as part of my TBR for the month of August, I got to reread a favorite, so of course I picked this one. And it is fantastic. If you don't know Jane Austen books, please consider reading them. They're so good. They're classics of British literature. This one is about Anne Elliot. Years ago, before the book starts, she was courted by a man named Frederick Wentworth, and he had proposed to her, and she really wanted to say yes, but she was talked out of it by some friends and family and persuaded to say no. And now he's come back to the neighborhood where she lives. Her family's kind of had reduced circumstances. They're still considered wealthy people, but not as wealthy as they were before. And he is a successful captain that's very wealthy, and maybe he's not as in love with her as he once was. Or maybe he still has feelings for her. Maybe, I don't know. We have to go on a journey with them to find out what happens. All right, that brings us about halfway through this review. Or wrap up. So I have got a box here from Toy Wiz. This is kind of a fun website to just kind of scroll through and see what they have in stock. They have lots of Funkos as well as other toys and figures and collectibles that you can get. And I have a set of Funkos that I pre-ordered quite a long time ago. In fact, when I got a notification from Toy Wiz that my order had shipped, I was like, what did I buy from them? I don't remember. It was that long ago. So, all of the figures in this box are related. They're part of a set, and we will discover what they are shortly. Okay, so the box is open, and you can see there are 6 figures within. Let's take one out and see what we've got. Okay, here we go. You ready? Alexander Hamilton. What's his name? Alexander Hamilton. I love the Hamilton musical. I've never seen it performed live. I've just watched the movie version on Disney Plus, but it's absolutely fantastic. So we have a Hamilton set. So we've got Alexander plus 5 more characters. I decided to just go for it and get all 6 that were in the set. I was like, why the heck not? Because I was in a mood. And that's what impulsive shoppers do when we're in a mood. Okay. I am out of the box collector, so I'm going to take him out and we'll take a closer look. Okay, here he is. He's got his little ponytail. He's ready to write a whole bunch of documents to get people wound up and set up a new government. He kind of looks like he's telling people off. He's got his finger up and he's like, So, you can probably guess what some of the other characters are going to be. Up next we have Aaron Burr, sir. I'm the darn fool that shot him. Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton had this famous rivalry, and they pretty much detested each other toward the end of their lives. If you don't know the story of how that all played out, go watch the musical. But here is Mr. Aaron Burr. He's also got his colonial garb on, his fancy purple coat, and all dressed up to impress. Aaron Burr was very much about impressing people and making people feel like he was on their side. Weird side story about Aaron Burr. At the very beginning of the summer, like after the last day of school, I was going to see a play the very next day, so I traveled down to Utah and stayed in a hotel that night before the play, because it was a matinee and I didn't want to get up super early in the morning. And I got a craving for ice cream. I almost never eat ice cream, you guys, but I was craving it so bad, and so I got on DoorDash to see what kind of ice cream shops were nearby. And there was this ice cream place called Patriotic something or other, and they had different ice creams named after like founding fathers, and I got the Aaron Burr ice cream, which was Madagascar black vanilla bean. It was so delicious. Yikes. I might have to go find that ice cream place another time in the future, because it was a really good ice cream. All right, here we have another gentleman, George Washington. Here comes the general. The actor who plays George Washington in the original cast musical that you can see on Disney Plus, he also plays Chunk on the TV show Bull. I just love him. He's awesome. All right, so here is General George Washington. He's got his sword. He's ready to fight. Got his three-cornered hat here, and he looks like the man in charge. So we've seen three gentlemen. Now we're ready for some ladies. If you know the musical, you probably know what ladies we're going to look at here. The Schuyler sisters, Angelica, Eliza, and Peggy. We're starting with Angelica. Oh, she looks so pretty. Okay. Why do some Funko Pops come with these little stands and some of them don't? I'm confused. If you're not familiar with the story, Angelica Schuyler is the oldest of three sisters of a very prominent New York society family, and they had a very high social standing, and Alexander Hamilton married one of them. As I said, she is the oldest sister. She's not the one that he married, but she's a beautiful, beautiful lady, and she's got a lovely kind of pinkish, salmon-y colored peachy dress. She's looking for a mind at work. So going in order of age of these sisters, we're going to go to Eliza. You can see here Eliza Hamilton. She is the one who married Alexander. Okay, here she is. She's got kind of a minty green dress. Also beautiful girl. Now, if you're not familiar with the play and you're wondering, okay, they're sisters, but they don't look like sisters. The casting of this play was purely like on talent, not ethnicity or race, and it was intentionally made a very diverse cast. So that's why like we have characters of different races than what we might expect them to be. And last but not least, we have a Miss Peggy Schuyler in her yellow dress. Let's take a closer look at her. All right, here's Peggy. So all the ladies have the little stands and the men do not. That's okay. Look at her gorgeous hair, though. So detailed. And I love a good yellow dress. I might have to take Peggy to school with me because one of my students, she's such a sweet girl, she's in love with the color yellow. Anything yellow, she's just like, oh, it's amazing. Maybe someday we'll take her with. That was really fun. Sometimes when you pre-order things and then you kind of forget about them and they come, you're like, why did I order those? But I'm really glad I ordered these. That's a really fun set to have, and I'm really glad that I can display them on my shelves. All right, that means we're going to jump back into the August reading wrap-up, and up next we have The Book Wanderers by Anna James. This book is the first in the Pages & Co. series, and it was just delightful. You can see I have a signed edition. Found this in a bookstore with a signature. That's always fun to discover. So this is about Tilly Pages, who lives at a bookstore with her grandparents, and the store is called Pages & Co. And Tilly is really into classic literature. Her favorite characters are Anne of Green Gables and Alice from Wonderland. And something strange happens one day, and both of these characters show up in the bookstore, and they talk to Tilly. I think if I was in a bookstore and my favorite characters walked up to me, I might fall over and die. Like, craziness. Well, Tilly also discovers that she can follow characters into their books, and eventually she learns that she is a book wanderer, being able to travel in and out the pages of books. And so is her friend that is in his family owns the shop next door, and they are able to like go book wandering together. However, Tilly's mom has been missing for years. She's never known who her father was, and there's a mystery to be solved about where her mom disappeared to. Could it have been in a book because she did also have this ability? Or did she just disappear somewhere in the real world? As Tilly works to discover the secrets of this, she's going to encounter some not so nice people, both in and out of books. It's a really fun, like, kind of book lovers, like, slash mystery, and I'm excited to get to the rest of the series. It's just fun. So up next we have 3 books by Debbie Tung. I read all of these in the same day because they are like comic style or graphic novel style illustrated books. And Debbie Tung, I think she might live in my brain because we're so similar. Not so much in this book, because this is the story of her as an introverted person being married to an extrovert and how they work to help each other and support each other. Never having been married myself, I don't really relate to this, but to the parts of her that show her introvertedness, I definitely do. Then we have Quiet Girl in a Noisy World, and this is an introvert story, so a lot of these things I related to like really hard. Being terrified to go to a party, like being at your own wedding and like wanting to sit off to the side. Maybe that was in the first book. Anyway, lots of good examples of how it is to be an introvert in a world that's built for extroverted people. And then last but certainly not least, we have Book Love. She is a book lover, and we have different panels of different fun things about books, like what happens when you like at one of your favorite authors in an Instagram post or other social media and then they reply or heart your post. Like that's happened to me a couple of times and I've been like, oh, they noticed my post. Yeah. Or, you know, like having a whole bunch of books to read at home, but you go to the store and buy more anyway. Like book nerd problems, you know. This was really fantastic and really fun to read. Up next, we have a nonfiction book written for teen writers. And even though I'm not a teenager, I am a writer. This is written by Allie Carter. She is a young adult author that's very well respected. She wrote the, not Gilmore Girls, what's the Gallagher Girls, the High Society series, there's a standalone, Not If I Save You First. And she's just answering questions from young writers as well as giving advice. And I like tabbed a whole bunch of pages because even though I'm an adult and this is written for teen writers, I can still use some of the information here. Plus, I'm going to be able to use this with my students because they are definitely teenage writers. And it's just a great resource for me. So I really, really enjoyed it. Up next, we have my favorite book of August, which is Master of One by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett. How do I begin to tell you about how much I love this book? I don't know. Our main character is Rags, and he has been kind of yanked out of prison. He's a thief, and told, you're going to go steal these different relics, and when you have all 6 pieces of this magical lost fate item, and the magical masters that can control them, then your mission will be complete. And if you don't do it, I'm going to kill you. He's being told this by an evil, like, wizard. And this guy is really, really evil. He puts, like, mirror glass inside Rags' heart, so if Rags, like, disobeys, he can shatter the mirror glass and it will rip Rags apart from the inside out. Mirror magic is, like, the main form of magic in this world, and this guy has taken shattered mirrors and used them for his own purposes. His, Morian is his name. He's a sorcerer, not a wizard. Sorry, I know there's a difference. And he is really, like, evil. Other characters we're meeting in this series, a distractingly handsome Fae Prince. His name's Shiny Talon, and I love him. He's kind of discovered by Rags in a place where he'd been kind of trapped, so he's suddenly sworn allegiance to Rags, and the two of them kind of have this slow burn, like, do they like each other? Do they not like each other? What's going to happen? Like, are they ever going to, like, admit their feelings? Do they really even like each other? It was torturing me through the whole book. We also have a Queen's Guard deserter. We have a daughter of a disgraced noble family, a member of the underground resistance, a sweet-natured prince. So we've got all these different characters, and some of them are masters of the magical items that they're looking for. And when you bond with a magical item in this world, it's almost like a mating bond from the ACOTAR series. You're very closely bonded to that item. You're not mated to it, but it's a similar to that bond in, like, the strength of it, I guess is what I'm saying. But I'm so excited to see what these ladies come up with for the second part of the series. I'm here for it any day now. You can publish it any day now. I'd be fine with that. We have another book that unfortunately I DNF'd. This is Assassin's Heart by Sarah Aheers, and it was very much about assassins, and I really tried, but I could not connect with it. So I'm sorry I can't even really remember much about it. I'm sorry. That was not good. Up next we have Wicked As You Wish by Rin Chupeco. This is the first book in the Hundreds Names for Magic series. And we have another like group of people on a quest involving magic. And in this one, many years ago in the Kingdom of Avalon, the Snow Queen kind of froze everything. Similar to the White Witch in Narnia. And this freezing of everything kind of killed a lot of people. And the Crown Prince has escaped and is like finding refuge in Arizona, of all places, kind of like living with this family that's taken him in. Prince Alexi is his name. Tala is the daughter of the family, and she feels like Alexi or Alex is like her best friend, but then all of a sudden these people come and try to steal him away, and she's like, what's going on? Really confused. And so she sets up on a quest along with a firebird, another legendary creature, to try to figure out what the heck's going on and see if they can help save the Kingdom of Avalon and Alex and his the people that he's supposed to rule, those who are left after the big freeze happened. So it's a lot of adventure and magic, and we see some kind of fairy tale characters like King Arthur and stuff come into this series, so it was very enjoyable. And then last but not least, we have The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kirsten White. Same author that wrote the Guinevere Deception and the And I Darken series. This is a retelling of Frankenstein, the classic novel by Mary Shelley, but from the point of view of Victor Frankenstein's girlfriend, and we really get a good understanding of how really not mentally well Victor Frankenstein was. I remember the first time I read Frankenstein, I was like, this guy was nuts. But then I read it a few more times and I'm like, yeah, he's actually very nuts. And then I read this and I'm like, he's more crazy than I thought. And yeah, this isn't canon, but it's still a very good retelling. And she used language in a way that made it feel like it was a Victorian novel, which was really cool, but it wasn't too difficult to read also. So if you like the story of Frankenstein and his monster, or you're just interested in like a dark, spooky read that isn't too long, I would definitely recommend picking this up. Alright, so that's my reading wrap up for the month of August. I hope you were able to stick with me and enjoyed what I had to say. I'm going to be taking some of these books to the school, and some of them are going to stay here in my library, and we're diving into September. I'm not doing great so far, but it's only September 2nd, so I shouldn't beat myself up. But having said that, I'm going to go so that I can actually read something tonight before I go to bed, and I want you guys to have a wonderful, magical, and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.